Hi, Cardinals. Steve Crawford here with another episode of Inside the Nest, your behind-the-scenes look at all things Otterbein. Today, I'm having a conversation with Todd Allen Crain. Todd is a theater major with a musical theater concentration and actor living in New York City. You may have seen Todd in many different things, including The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, 30 Rock, and Law & Order SVU. Todd, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is a big pleasure for me. Thank you.
It's great. Well, I am on campus. I'm actually in Howard House. And when I look out the window, I can see Cowan Hall. And I know you spent a lot of time there when you were a student.
I did.
In New York. Why don't you talk to us about what it's like living in New York since this pandemic has broken?
That's a tough question. Things have changed dramatically for everybody in the entertainment industry specifically. New York City brings in a lot of tourists that love to go to Broadway shows, and there are no Broadway shows right now. Television has shut down production. It is November right now as we're recording this, and things are just now starting to start production again. It's a little easier for television production to happen because we are not reliant on an audience being in the room with us. So we can limit the number of production staff and get everyone tested, and you can quarantine together essentially so that you are isolated from the rest of the public for the most part, which is an important thing. But New York is different now. It's the subways are vacant. The subway platforms are vacant. There's no pizza for the rats. That's a disappointing thing for our New York City rats. The Times Square is vacant, which is weird. The only time that it was really ever vacant was on Sunday mornings. And so now every day feels like Sunday morning in Times Square. It's just that the tourists are not here. The Broadway life is not here. It is definitely a different feeling, and it's a little sad, but there is always a glimmer of hope.
Todd, it's really hard to hear about all of the changes happening in New York right now. It's such a vibrant place, and I'm sure it's so different now compared to when you first moved there after graduation. Now, since graduation, though, you have had a pretty successful career. You've been involved in a wide variety of things. You've played the funny guy, you've played the serious guy, and you've actually played the creepy villain. So why don't we take a look at a few of the episodes that you've been a part of.
Charlie, tell Kenneth here why you know so much about NBC.
Well, you have to know how something works if you're going to strip it for parts.
What?
Broadcast television is dying. The only move is to shut down the network, pull the copper out of the walls, and turn this building into a Forever 21.
You don't seem like him, Castle. Why are you doing this? Holding me hostage? Is this you or who you want to be?
I started out just wanting to do the right thing. Now I just want to go home.
Yeah. You and me both. Patrice Connolly.
Nice lady. She had problems with her feet, so I rubbed them for her. She liked that.
She says you did more than that.
Oh, maybe she's living out some weirdo sexual fantasy. Older women are attracted to me, nothing I can do about it.
We'll know soon enough. Once the rape kit comes back from the lab.
I should talk to a lawyer.
Is that dad number 2 or number 3?
I have my own counsel, thank you.
Todd, it was great to see those clips. You are living your dream. You're actually an actor in New York City. So tell us, what type of roles do you enjoy playing the most?
That's a really hard question to answer. It's like Sophie's Choice, like which one do you get rid of? I love my favorite thing about being an actor in New York City is the fact that I have not been, as some actors get, pigeonholed into one type of role. They get stereotyped for like the really good looking guy. I don't have to worry about that. So I get to play all of these character parts, which is really great. The more character-y, the better. I was lucky enough to play a character named Kevin on Broad City on a show on Comedy Central, both the first and fifth seasons of the show, which was amazing experience because they let me create this really extravagant Queen of the Gays character that was so fun to play and so outlandish. And then I get to do things like I was able to do on The Punisher. on Netflix from the clip that you showed, where I played a U.S. senator who was involved in a very violent incident and thought to be the bad guy of the entire season. And I'm not going to spoil it, but you should watch it. That's good. But my favorite thing about being an actor is not playing the same type of roles all the time. Like Kevin from Broad City would never live in the same universe as the U.S. Senator I played on The Punisher. Like they're just two very, very different people. And I think of myself as a character actor first. Like that's it. That's what I love to do. That's what I feel blessed in this industry to be able to do, is play a number of different characters that don't live in the same universe. They're all completely independent of each other. They wouldn't be friends in real life. I love that aspect. I don't have to play the same exact person in everything that I do. And I love that aspect. And one of the other joys for me in this business, and from what I've been able to do in the past at least 8 years, is I've been able to play a lot of out gay characters on television. And visibility is important, no matter what minority group you might find yourself in. But I've been able to play an out gay villain, like you've said. I mean, he wasn't necessarily gay. That guy on Law and Order was creepy, though. He was real creepy. But the U.S. Senator that I played on The Punisher was an out gay character. Kevin on Broad City was an out gay character. The character that I played on Quantico was an out gay character. Like there are all of these really extraordinary gay character roles that I've been given the opportunity to play, and I embrace those wholeheartedly because, as I said, visibility is important, and to get out there and to not just have to play just Jack from Will and Grace, which there's clearly a place for that, but there are also other types of gay men out there, and it's a real honor for me to be asked to play those characters.
Again, it's great there is that variety because, again, visibility is important.
Absolutely.
But again, as you think, though, about your career, is there that dream role out there that you hope to be cast in one day?
I think for every actor, in my experience with this business, every actor, I think, just wants to work. I think that it is your responsibility as an actor or as a secretary or as a dentist or as a lawyer to find joy in whatever it is that you're doing. That's the key to this business for me. And that should be, I think, the key to every business, is that you have to find a certain amount of joy in whatever it is that you are doing for a living. If you're not finding and experiencing joy with your job, then you might not be in the right job. So for me, I don't know that there's a quintessential role that I would really love to play. I just love to do the work. The very first day of shooting on The Punisher, I had to cry for 5.5 hours. That's hard. It's a really hard thing. And up to that point, I had mainly done comedies. So I was being given an opportunity to really stretch myself, and I wasn't about to let anybody down. That was a goal for me. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to disappoint anybody. I was not going to embarrass the casting director who decided to bring me in for that audition in the first place. And I wasn't going to make this show look bad because they chose the wrong actor for this role. No, I had a responsibility to achieve a certain level of unbelievably uncomfortableness for that role, and I did. I brought that to the table. But that's something that I learned at Otterbein. I was given an opportunity at Otterbein to play many, many different characters in many different types of shows. I did the light opera with the music department, and then I played the wolf in Cinderella's Prince and Into the Woods for the musical theater department. Like, I've been able to play a lot of different characters, so there isn't just one type of character that I love to play over and over and over again. I've been lucky enough to have that kind of Sam Rockwell, who is a big Hollywood actor, if you're familiar with his work. He is what I think of as the quintessential character actor. You can look at him and just think, you can play anything, and you find happiness and joy in your work just because you're working. It's not because of this particular role is better suited to you than any of the other roles you've played, but you love what you do, and I love what I do.
Now, Todd, as an actor, you've had some pretty unique opportunities, and you actually had an experience, though, working at IBM as an actor. Can you tell us a little bit more about your time with IBM?
Yes. So in November of 2009, I was asked by IBM to come in and host all of the test sparring matches between their, at that time, brand new computer system called Watson and ex-Jeopardy contestants. So I was hosting games of Jeopardy at IBM with their computer system, Watson, playing against human contestants. The human contestants were not given that piece of information that they were going to be playing against a computer until they arrived at our studio that day. So it was a surprise to them. But so we took players that had been on the show on Jeopardy during the regular season play, not the tournaments, but the actual regular season play. They could have just been on the show once and crashed and burned. That was totally fine as long as they could get to our studio at the beginning of 2010 easily enough to attend our games. And then they found out they were going to be playing a computer, and then they freaked out a little bit. So that was fun. That was fun for me. But yeah, I spent 25 months hosting 196 full games of Jeopardy with the IBM computer. And during that time, I got to know Alex Trebek, and I hosted 4 games of his game show in front of him, which was a very unique experience for me. Something that I had never faced and probably will never face again. I don't know that anyone was as connected to a show as Mr. Trebek was. And now that he's passed, he's going to have to pass the torch on to someone else. But it was a very unique experience. And I didn't know that, having graduated from Otterbein with a musical theater degree, that I would find myself at IBM hosting games of Jeopardy with a computer as one of the contestants. That wasn't something that they told you at Otterbein. Oh, you should be prepared for this. No, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a class that I took. I took a makeups class and a stagecraft class, but I didn't take a how to host a television game show class. So that was the hosting thing has always been a part of my career also. I've hosted many, many types of events, and this just seemed like the natural progression. And this was essentially the peak of my hosting training that I had put myself through with these other jobs that I'd gone through. But it was one of the most memorable experiences and one of the best jobs I have ever had. And I'm not sure exactly how that will be topped, really.
Well, that sounds incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at some of your interactions with Watson.
This is Jeopardy! The IBM Challenge.
What are you doing? Website's name also refers to a type of nervous laugh. Watson?
What is evil laugh?
Oh, no.
In terms of comedy duos, he is the best straight man in the business.
You're going to kick yourself. Twitter.
Because he doesn't get it. He doesn't get why his inappropriate answer is funny. And you can't ask for better writing than that.
Watson, you choose again.
For 1600, please.
His westerns include Wagon Master and Fort Apache. Watson.
Who is John Ford?
Good for 1600.
Who is Mike Nichols?
Good for 12. Last clue on the board for $800. Here it is. Revenge of, in 1978, was the 5th in this series of comedies directed by Blake Edwards. Watson?
What is the Pink Panther?
I just want to check. Your buzzers are working. Just wanted to check in and wake you from your nap.
Thank Todd Crain, that very talented young man who hosted all those games.
Todd, that looked like that was an incredible experience, especially the opportunity to interact some with Alex Trebek.
Yes.
Did Alex actually offer you any advice for your career?
Alex was very supportive. The very first day that I met Alex was it was a really high pressure day for me because I was going to be hosting games in front of the Alex Trebek. And the day that I met him, we didn't meet before I took my place in our studio with my 2 contestants, and I was explaining to them exactly how the game that they were about to play would be different than they ever played it before, because they always played against 2 other human contestants. But this game was going to be a little different. And as I'm explaining it, I see someone come around the corner of our game board, and with a camera crew, he's walking with a camera crew towards me. And I didn't think anything about it because we always had camera crews walking around our set, filming Watson's progress. And There was a PBS documentary done of Watson's journey, and IBM did a documentary. Like, there were a lot of camera crews walking around. So then I realized that the man walking towards me was Alex Trebek, and he had his hand outstretched, and I was panicked and sweaty, and he shook my hand, and he positioned himself so the camera could get a 2-shot of us. And so he said, "Todd, we didn't get a chance to introduce ourselves to each other before you took your place today, but I just have one piece of advice." And I'm full on sweat, like I'm sweating. I'm hoping I don't sweat through my brown suit, because he's going to see it. He's going to see it. And he looked me right in the eye, and everyone is looking. The entire audience is looking, and all the players are looking, and all the IBM executives are looking, and all the Jeopardy executives are looking. And he says to me, "Don't be too good." And he turned around and he walked away, and he just left me standing there sweaty and like just trembling. And the players are looking at me, and everyone is laughing in the room like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. And I'm so panicked about what just took place. It was awful. It was awful, but he knew exactly what he was doing. But I have to say that day, I know that I gave the best 4 games in terms of my host performance that I ever gave throughout my 196 game run as the host of those IBM matches.
Let's suppose you were in front of a group of theater students right now, Otterbein theater students. What advice might you give them?
I actually go through a list. I teach these workshops for actors, both freshly graduated actors and actors who are my age and actors who are older that have more or less experience than I do. And I go through a top 5 list of things that I wish somebody had said to me at some point during my career that would have made things just a little bit easier at any point, literally. But one of the main things that I think that I would give to any group of actors is this piece of advice. Figure out exactly what you are great at. Not good, but great. I wish that I had somebody to say that to me when I was a young actor, but looking back on my career and my journey to get where I am right now, I realized that that's exactly what I did. I realized that I was great at comedy. I was a terrible dancer. I was a really good singer, but I was great at comedy. And I realized that when you go to become a professional actor in whatever city you might end up in, that in order for you to stand out from the crowd, for you to get noticed, for you to get your foot in the door, there has to be something that you use as an unbelievably valuable marketing tool. For me, that was comedy. I knew it. I could take anything that was given to me and make it funny, even if it wasn't all that funny. There was just something inside of my head that said, this is how I would think this is funny as an audience, and that's how I'm going to do it. That's my piece of advice for every single young actor out there. You've got this time while you're at Otterbein right now to spend the time thinking about, what is it that I am great at? Am I great at drama? So if you're great at drama, focus on that while you're at Otterbein. If you are a great singer, sing all the time, dance all the time, figure it out, hone that skill. Because when you get to New York, or you get to Chicago, or you get to Atlanta, or you get to LA, wherever you might end up, you have to have something about you that people go, wow, now that was a great performance. That was a great audition, because she's a great singer, because he's an amazing dancer. And that's going to make people pay attention to you. So the very first thing that I would say to a group of people, if I had just one piece of advice to give, is to make sure that you figure out what it is that you are great at. Not just passable, but great. Because that's what's going to get you in the door. And the talent is going to keep you in the room.
Well, Todd, in addition to acting, I know you are also an aspiring artist.
Yes.
You have taken up painting. So tell us a little bit more about your painting that you've done.
I have. I actually moved into this into the place where I'm living now a couple of years ago, and I had all of these blank walls, and I thought, all right, well, let me see if I can try to make something that I wouldn't hate or be embarrassed to actually display in my home. And I found this technique, and it's with acrylic paints and canvases, and you can do all sorts of things with them. And YouTube is a great learning tool. I'll tell you that right now. I learned so many different techniques and so many mistakes and things what I liked and things I didn't like. And so I kind of picked up this habit that I was able to decorate my walls with. And then that habit kind of turned into a kind of an intense hobby. And these paintings that you see behind me on the walls, those are all mine. And I think I have 47 of them hung up around my house.
Those are gorgeous.
Thank you. Thanks. I love it. And I had my first commission sale to a friend of mine. They wanted 4 paintings and to hang them in this giant space above their couch. And I feel like I'm off and running. And it's been it's been a very dry time for these past 9 months with quarantine going on. So I've had a lot of time to kind of refine my skills. And I think that a lot of us have probably found something to occupy our time besides all of the workshops and the mentoring and the, just little pieces of advice or coachings that I do for actors. And I do all of those for free because it's one of the things that I love to do. It's not something that I have to do, but I love to do it. Besides all of those things, I found this other thing that occupies my time and kind of decorates my walls and adds a lot of color. That would just be a plain white wall right there, but it's not. It's got this enormous 3 foot by 4 foot canvas on it right now, which is awesome. And it kind of brightens the space and it just kind of makes me happy every time I look at them. So yeah, it's a good skill.
And again, all self-taught other than YouTube videos. You didn't.
Correct. Yeah.
With an artist, you just learned this yourself.
Yes. Yeah. There was a couple of people that I watched nearly all of their videos, and some people have a lot of art creation videos on their YouTube channels. And I learned a lot of techniques, and then I would try to mimic those techniques, and you can never really do an exact replica of somebody else's work. So it's not like you're copying them, but you're getting some helpful tips and pointers. And I started a YouTube channel with my art as well. So I have 15 videos. I just started a little while ago, but I put 15 videos together at this point and about how I made these paintings. So so hopefully that will inspire somebody else to start it and maybe decorate their own walls with things they don't hate.
Todd, thank you so much for your time today. I've had so much fun chatting with you, getting to know you a little bit more. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve.
So, and Cardinal Nation, thank you for joining us. If you have an idea for an additional episode of Inside the Nest, please email me at crawford2@otterbein.edu. So thanks, Todd. Thanks, Cardinal Nation. Look forward to the next episode.